The sky was burning red when the first alien ships appeared. They came without warning, moving like black shadows across the stars. Their weapons were sharp beams of light that cut through metal and stone. Cities fell in silence before screams could even rise. People tried to run, but there was nowhere to hide. The aliens had come to kill, and nothing seemed strong enough to stop them. On the ground, soldiers fought with what they had. Bullets, rockets, and tanks fired into the sky, but the alien shields turned everything into dust. The humans were brave, but bravery looked small in front of such power. The invaders marched forward, tall, cold, and sure of victory. Their voices carried through strange machines that translated into human words. They said the war was already over. They said humans were weak. They said this planet would belong to them. But something was wrong. Something the aliens did not expect. As the battle raged, some soldiers who should have died stood up again. Wounds closed faster than before. Eyes sharpened, movements grew quicker. A man who had been crawling on the ground suddenly stood and ran faster than any human had ever run. A woman lifted a weapon too heavy for her minutes ago and fired it with perfect aim. The aliens paused. This was not part of their plan. Humans were supposed to fall, not rise again. In one ruined street, a young soldier named Daniel dragged himself from the rubble. His arm was broken, his chest crushed, but then his body changed. The pain twisted into heat, and his broken bones snapped back in place. His breathing cleared, his sight stretched far beyond normal. He saw the aliens moving, every detail sharp, every weakness glowing. He fired his weapon and did not miss a single shot. On another battlefield, Sergeant Aisha held her squad together. She saw her people fighting beyond their limits. They did not fear anymore. Their reflexes matched the speed of alien attacks. She shouted to her team, but even she felt her voice was stronger than before. Her mind could calculate movements, predict danger, almost as if she had lived this moment before. It was not training. It was something new, something awakening inside them all. The aliens kept attacking. They unleashed more fire, more destruction. Buildings collapsed. The earth shook. But the humans kept standing. Some fell and rose again. Some evolved in front of alien eyes, growing faster, stronger, more resilient with each strike. The invaders studied this with unease. This was not weakness. This was survival. One alien commander gave orders in his cold language. He wanted humans finished quickly. But when his soldiers charged, the humans adapted again. Their skin resisted heat better than before. Their lungs handled smoke and ash as if it were fresh air. Their muscles carried them through impossible jumps, dodges, and strikes. Every second on the battlefield was turning humans into something new. The aliens did not understand. They had conquered many worlds. They had destroyed countless species. But never had they seen prey change so quickly. They tried to measure it, tried to analyze it, but the results came too fast to record. Each human was no longer the same as before. Each second of fear or pain unlocked another hidden strength. And so the aliens grew frustrated. They fired harder, but the harder they fired, the stronger the humans became. It was like trying to crush water with a fist. Every blow only made the shape change and flow around them. In the shadows of burning streets, survivors whispered to each other. They could feel something inside them shifting. Mothers hugged their children tighter, and the children's eyes glowed with strange clarity. Old men who should have collapsed under smoke stood tall and walked like warriors. It was not just the soldiers. It was humanity itself. Back in the alien ship, the commander watched through his screens. His calm voice carried doubt for the first time. He asked a question his kind never thought they would ask. Why could these humans not die? The answer was clear on the battlefield. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, and on that edge, something ancient had awakened. Their bodies remembered the long struggle of survival through history. Their minds unlocked paths hidden deep in their blood. They were not the same creatures who had faced the aliens at the start of the invasion. They were becoming something more. And the commander realized a terrible truth. If this continued, if these humans kept changing at this speed, no weapon would ever be enough. He whispered to himself words of fear, words his soldiers had never heard from their leader before. They could not be killed, because they evolved too fast. The war had only begun, and already the balance was shifting. The invaders had expected an easy victory, but instead they had awoken an enemy that refused to stay the same. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was becoming the nightmare. The night after the first invasion was not quiet. The cities were still burning, the sky still filled with alien ships. But in the streets below, whispers spread among the survivors. People spoke of what they had seen. Soldiers who should have died were alive. Ordinary men and women fought like warriors. Children stared into the smoke with strange glowing eyes. Nobody understood how or why, but everyone knew one thing. Something inside humans was changing. The aliens were not silent either. Inside their dark ships, commanders held cold meetings. Their technology scanned every human body they had captured. The results were confusing. Cells shifted faster than their machines could record. Muscles repaired in seconds instead of days. Even minds showed signs of faster connection, thought, and memory. It was not possible. Evolution was supposed to take millions of years. But here, it was happening in moments. Commander Varek stood before the glowing screens. His tall form was made of bone-like armor and black skin that shimmered in the light. His soldiers waited for orders, but even he hesitated. He had seen humans adapt before his very eyes. Weapons that burned other species into ash did not finish them. Instead, those weapons seemed to push them into becoming something more dangerous. Still, Varek could not show fear. He ordered his armies to prepare the next attack. He told them humans were still weak, that this change was a simple reaction and nothing more. Yet in the back of his mind, a single thought burned. If humans kept evolving, could they become stronger than his own kind? On the ground, Daniel woke up in the ruins of a collapsed building. His squad was gone, lost in the chaos. He touched his arm and remembered how it had healed hours earlier. His body felt different now, lighter but stronger. His senses stretched further than before. He could hear the faint steps of aliens 3 blocks away. He could smell the burning fuel in the distance. He should have been afraid, but instead, a calm fire burned inside him. He knew he was not the same man anymore. Sergeant Aisha gathered the last of her team near the riverbank. She looked at their faces. They were tired, bruised, and wounded, but their eyes told another story. Every one of them had changed. They moved with sharper speed, spoke with clearer thought. Aisha herself could see things she never noticed before, tiny shifts in air, the glow of energy weapons before they fired, the tension of footsteps in the mud. She whispered to herself that this was not training. This was survival taking a new form. The soldiers had no answers, but they knew one truth. If they wanted to save Earth, they had to use this change, not fear it. Meanwhile, civilians discovered their own evolution. In one camp, a mother tried to protect her children from falling rubble. But instead of breaking under the weight, her body carried the stone as if it were light. She dropped it aside and stared at her hands in shock. In another street, a teenager picked up an alien weapon that no human should have been able to use. The weapon obeyed him, almost like his body had learned its language in a second. Stories spread quickly. Humans were not just resisting, they were adapting faster than anyone could explain. The aliens attacked again the next day. Their ships dropped burning machines into the cities. Metal walkers with sharp claws tore through buildings, searching for survivors. But this time, the humans did not scatter. They fought back with new strength. Daniel led a small group through the ruins. He no longer needed maps. His mind drew them with each step. He knew where the machines would strike before they appeared. His bullets flew true, and when he ran out of ammunition, he used their own weapons against them. His body reacted without hesitation. Each attack only made him quicker. Aisha's squad met another wave of soldiers. The aliens fired their beams, but the squad bent low, their movements faster than light itself could predict. They struck from angles no one had trained them for. Even their wounds healed while they fought. The aliens fell back in confusion. For the first time in their history, they were the ones retreating. Inside the alien ship, Commander Varek watched with cold fury. His soldiers were failing. His machines were breaking. He ordered his fleet to release new weapons, poison gas, radiation blasts, sound waves that destroyed brains of other species. But the humans adapted again. Their lungs resisted the gas. Their blood repaired radiation damage. Their ears tuned out the sound. Every weapon that had ended otherworlds only made this species grow stronger. Varek slammed his clawed hand against the console. His voice rose like thunder. He told his officers that humans must be destroyed before it was too late. But even as he spoke, doubt spread among his people. They could see it with their own eyes. Humans did not fear death. They turned death into strength. On Earth, survivors looked at each other with a new kind of hope. For the first time, they saw that they might not just survive. They might win. And in the heart of that hope, a new thought grew. If they could change this fast now, what would they become tomorrow? The war was no longer one-sided. The hunters had found prey that refused to die. And the prey was learning how to hunt back. The fires of war burned across Earth, but far away from the front lines, a different story had already begun years ago. In hidden laboratories buried deep under mountains and oceans, scientists had been working in silence. They were not soldiers, they were not leaders, but they carried the weight of fear in their minds. They knew humanity might one day face an enemy beyond Earth, and they feared that humanity would not survive. Dr. Elena Marlowe was one of those scientists. She remembered the long nights, the secret experiments, and the warnings from her government that their work must remain hidden. Most of the world believed they were studying genetics for medicine. But the truth was far greater. They were searching for the ancient key inside human DNA. Humans had survived countless dangers across history. Ice ages, plagues, wars, famine, yet somehow they always lived on. Other species fell, but humans endured. Elena believed there was something hidden in the blood of mankind, something old, something waiting. She called it the survival trigger. Her team believed that in extreme danger, humans could unlock abilities far beyond normal limits. They tried to prove it in small tests. Soldiers placed under high stress showed sudden bursts of strength. Patients close to death sometimes healed in ways medicine could not explain. But it was not enough. The changes were rare, slow, and unstable. So the scientists went further. They learned to push the human body with special codes, unlocking deeper layers of DNA that had been silent for centuries. They did not create something new. They only opened what was already there. Hidden instructions written by nature itself. Instructions for survival. But there was a cost. These experiments were dangerous, even cruel. Many trials failed. Many people died. The project was nearly shut down, but when reports of alien activity reached Earth, the leaders made a decision. The project would continue, no matter the price. Humanity could not be weak if the stars ever brought war. Back on the battlefield, Sergeant Aisha did not know this story in full. But she had heard rumors during her training. Whispers of a secret program, a hidden evolution, a weapon that was not a machine but written in human blood. Now, as she fought, she felt those whispers coming true inside her. Daniel, too, felt the pull of something ancient. He dreamed strange dreams between battles. He saw humans of the past, hunters, warriors, survivors of storms and fire. He felt their strength running through his veins, guiding him. Each battle seemed to connect him to something older and stronger, as if every ancestor's struggle was alive in him now. The aliens did not understand, but some of them began to see the truth. Their science officers studied captured humans. They cut into flesh, scanned cells, measured changes. But the more they studied, the less they understood. Each human body was not just resisting, it was rewriting itself, adapting faster than their machines could record. One officer reported to Commander Varek. His voice trembled as he explained that humans were not simply evolving by chance. Their DNA was designed for this. Something inside them had prepared for survival against any threat, even threats beyond their world. He said humans were like fire. The harder you tried to control it, the faster it spread. Varek did not want to believe it. He shouted that no species could escape the will of his empire. He ordered the officer executed for spreading fear. But even as the officer's body fell, the commander could not erase the memory of his words. Humans were not an accident. They were built for survival. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Marlowe sat in her underground lab, listening to distant reports of the war. Her heart was heavy, but she was not surprised. She had always known this day would come. She told her colleagues that the survival trigger had finally awakened on a global scale. The war itself was the key. Fear, pain, and death had forced humanity to unlock what had been hidden for thousands of years. She looked at the screen where maps of the battles were shown. She saw soldiers fighting with impossible strength. She saw children surviving blasts that should have killed them. She whispered to herself that humanity was no longer only human. They were becoming something else, something new, something the aliens would never control. Above the ground, the war grew darker. The aliens sent stronger weapons, larger ships, deadlier machines. But every time, the humans adapted. They healed faster, fought harder, learned quicker. Every hour of the war was pushing them into their next form. And with each battle, one question grew stronger in every human mind. If they could evolve this far already, what would they become next? The answer was not clear yet. But the aliens were beginning to understand. They had not invaded a weak planet. They had awakened a sleeping giant. The war that was supposed to be an easy victory was turning into something far worse. It was not a battle against humans anymore. It was a battle against evolution itself. And evolution was not on their side. The war did not slow down. Every day, new alien ships fell from the sky. Every day, their machines crawled across the earth, tearing apart cities and villages. But every day, humans also changed. What was once fear turned into fire. What was once weakness turned into power. Daniel led a group of survivors through the ruins of the city. His eyes were sharper than ever. He could see in the dark as if the night was only a shadow. His hearing caught the smallest sound of alien movement blocks away. When an alien drone flew over them, Daniel raised his rifle and shot it down with a perfect strike. His people looked at him with awe, but Daniel said nothing. He knew this was not skill alone. His body was becoming something different. Sergeant Aisha and her squad fought near the broken highway. The aliens had sent tall machines, walking towers of steel armed with burning cannons. At first, the squad fired with all their weapons, but the machines kept coming. Then something strange happened. Aisha's soldiers began to move faster, their bodies reacting before the machines fired. They dodged beams of light, rolling and striking at weak joints. One soldier leaped higher than any human should have, landing on top of the machine and planting explosives. The tower fell with a roar. The aliens were watching, and fear was growing among them. Their weapons had destroyed countless worlds. No species had ever resisted for long. Yet here, every weapon they used only made humans stronger. Commander Varek stood inside his flagship, looking down at Earth through the glass. Reports filled the air. His soldiers spoke of humans who healed in seconds, humans who fought without tiring, humans who adapted to poison, to fire, even to weapons that bent the air itself. He could hear the worry in his soldiers' voices, and it made him furious. He told them humans were only animals struggling against death. But deep inside, even he felt a shadow of doubt. On the battlefield, the aliens released a new weapon. A wave of burning plasma spread across the ground, melting stone and turning the earth into liquid fire. No creature could survive it. But the humans did. Their skin blistered, their bodies screamed in pain, but then they healed. Some fell and rose again, stronger than before. They walked across the fire with determination, their faces glowing with rage. In another city, the aliens filled the air with toxins. The gas killed plants, choked animals, and turned the rivers black. Yet humans did not fall. Their lungs fought against the poison, their blood cleansed itself, and within hours they breathed the toxic air as if it were nothing. The invaders stared in disbelief. Civilians joined the fight too. Men and women who had never touched weapons before now picked up alien rifles and used them with ease. The weapons seemed to obey their touch, as if their minds had learned the alien technology in a heartbeat. Children pointed out enemy positions before soldiers could see them, their senses sharper than normal. Old people who should have been weak walked with renewed strength, their steps steady as stone. Humanity as a whole was rising together. Daniel and Aisha's groups finally met. The two leaders looked at each other and understood without words. They were no longer just soldiers, they were witnesses of the next step of mankind. Aisha told Daniel that the aliens were preparing something bigger. Scouts had seen massive fleets moving toward Earth. Daniel clenched his fists. If the aliens were afraid enough to send their full force, it meant humanity was winning in a way no one had expected. High above the planet, the alien council gathered. They demanded answers from Commander Varek. They wanted to know why humans were not destroyed yet. Varek told them the truth he hated to admit. Humans were evolving too fast. Every attack only made them stronger. One council member suggested leaving Earth, abandoning the invasion. But others shouted that retreat was impossible. If humans were allowed to live, they would soon become a threat to the galaxy itself. So the council made their decision. The full fleet would arrive. Every weapon, every ship, every soldier would be unleashed upon Earth. It would not be a simple war anymore. It would be extermination. Back on the ground, the survivors looked up at the sky. They saw the black shapes of thousands of alien ships entering orbit. The stars themselves seemed to vanish behind them. The Earth trembled as the largest invasion force ever assembled prepared to strike. But the humans did not bow. They stood together in the ruins, their bodies glowing with new strength, their eyes sharper than ever. Daniel whispered to Aisha that they were ready. Aisha looked at the frightened civilians and told them that they were not weak anymore. They were the future. The air filled with the sound of alien engines. The sky burned as ships descended. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin. And the aliens still did not understand the truth. The more they tried to kill humans, the faster humans evolved. And this time, the evolution was not only survival. It was preparing for victory. The sky turned black as the alien fleet arrived. Thousands of ships blocked the stars, their engines glowing like fire. The ground shook as their shadows spread across the Earth. For the first time, every human could see how large the enemy truly was. It was not an invasion anymore. It was an extermination. Commander Varek stood at the center of his flagship. His soldiers cheered, believing this final strike would end the war. Varek spoke with cold certainty. He said the humans had adapted, but no adaptation could stand against the full strength of the Empire. He raised his clawed hand and gave the order. The fleet began its descent. On Earth, Daniel and Aisha watched the sky. Around them stood survivors, soldiers, and civilians, all waiting in silence. Fear moved through the crowd, but it was not the same fear as before. This time, it was steady, controlled, almost sharp. Daniel felt something strange in his chest. It was like a voice, but not his own. It was Aisha. He heard her thoughts inside his mind. She had not spoken a word, but he understood her. Aisha looked at him with wide eyes. She heard his thoughts too. Somehow, in the heat of fear, their minds had connected. And then it spread. The soldiers around them felt the same bond. Civilians felt it too. Minds linked like threads of light, weaving together into one. Humans could hear each other without speaking. They could share ideas, emotions, and warnings in an instant. The aliens did not know it yet, but the humans had unlocked a new stage. They were no longer only individuals. They were becoming a single mind, a collective force, each person still themselves but also part of something greater. When the alien fleet fired the first wave of attacks, the humans did not scatter. They moved as one. Every step, every dodge, every strike was shared between them. Daniel saw the path of falling plasma bombs, and before he could even speak, others already moved to safety. Aisha planned a counterattack, and instantly hundreds of fighters carried it out as if they had trained for years. The bond between them was faster than sound, faster than any command chain. It was pure unity. The aliens noticed at once. Their scanners showed humans moving with impossible coordination. It was as if the entire species had become a single army. Varek growled in frustration. He ordered his ships to fire heavier weapons. Giant beams cut through the ground, but humans dodged in perfect rhythm. When alien troops landed, humans surrounded them with flawless precision, striking from every side. The invaders were shocked. They were not fighting scattered groups. They were fighting one living organism. In one battle, a group of alien tanks rolled across the hills. Normally, such machines would crush resistance easily. But before the tanks fired, dozens of humans had already positioned themselves in hidden spots. They attacked from every weak point at the same time, as if they shared one brain. The tanks exploded, their wreckage falling into the valley. Daniel felt the bond grow stronger inside him. He no longer needed to shout orders. His thoughts became actions across the field. He saw visions of other battles through the minds of distant fighters. Aisha felt it too. She could sense where the enemy was weakest, not because she guessed but because the knowledge flowed from others across the world. Every human was sharing their survival, their experience, their strength. For the first time, the aliens felt fear in their bones. They realized humans were not only adapting as individuals. They were adapting as a species. Their evolution was no longer physical alone. It was mental. It was unity. Inside the flagship, Varek roared at his officers. He demanded they cut the humans apart before the bond grew stronger. His advisors warned him it was already too late. The humans had become something no weapon could divide. Every time the aliens killed one, the knowledge and strength of that death flowed into the rest. Nothing was lost. Everything was shared. On Earth, civilians who had never fought before suddenly knew how to use weapons. Children knew how to hide and survive. Soldiers knew how to strike alien machines in perfect harmony. The bond carried wisdom from one to all. Humanity was rewriting the rules of war. The battles raged through the night. Alien ships fell in flames. Alien soldiers were pushed back. For every attack, humans grew sharper, faster, more connected. Daniel whispered into the bond, not with words but with thought. "We are not the same as yesterday." Aisha followed with her own voice in the bond. "We are not fighting alone. We are one." The aliens above felt the shift in the war. Their fleet was vast, their weapons endless, but the humans were no longer prey. They were a force that refused to be divided. Commander Varek stared at the burning earth below. For the first time in his life, he felt something he had never felt in battle. He felt that victory might not be possible. The humans stood together in the ruins, their eyes glowing with unity. Their bond was unbreakable, their evolution unstoppable. And the greatest battle of all was still to come. The sky was filled with fire as the greatest battle in human history began. The alien fleet poured down its weapons, burning the land, tearing apart the oceans, and striking the mountains. Every corner of Earth shook under their power. But humanity stood together. They no longer fought as scattered groups. They fought as one. Daniel raised his weapon, but he did not need to shout orders. His thoughts flowed into the minds of thousands. Every person near him felt his focus and followed without hesitation. Aisha stood on the broken walls of a ruined city, her eyes glowing with fierce light. She could see the movements of alien ships before they made them. Her mind was linked with countless others, carrying knowledge faster than any machine. Humanity had become a network of survival, a living storm. The aliens sent wave after wave. Metal beasts thundered across the earth. Flying drones rained down fire. Giant ships cut the sky with beams of destruction. But humans moved like water, flowing around every attack, striking at every weakness. Civilians, soldiers, children, and elders all shared the same bond. No one was alone. An alien soldier fired at Daniel. The beam missed by a hair, but before the soldier could fire again, another human struck from behind. Daniel had not called for help. The bond itself had guided them. This was no longer strategy. It was instinct made perfect by unity. Commander Varek watched in disbelief. His fleet was the largest ever gathered, yet it was failing. He had never feared an enemy before, but now his claws trembled. He asked his science officers if there was any weakness left in humanity. The answer was silence. The humans had none. Every strike only made them evolve faster. Every death only gave the rest more strength. In the deep night of battle, something even greater awakened. The bond between humans grew brighter, stronger, reaching far beyond Earth. Daniel looked up at the sky and felt his mind touch the stars. He could sense other humans across the oceans, even across continents. Distance no longer mattered. Humanity was one mind, one heart, one will. Then something impossible happened. Their thoughts stretched beyond Earth itself. They reached into orbit, where alien ships circled the planet. Human minds touched the machines, feeling the shape of their weapons, learning their design. Suddenly, humans knew how to turn alien technology against its masters. Fighters in the skies began to control captured ships. Cannons once aimed at Earth now fired at the alien fleet. The battlefield shifted in an instant. Varek roared in rage. He ordered the release of the Doomsday Weapon, a core of energy that could tear apart an entire planet. His officers hesitated. They warned that using such power would destroy Earth completely, leaving nothing for their empire to claim. But Varek no longer cared. He only wanted humans gone. He gave the order. The weapon charged in the heart of his flagship, glowing like a small sun. But before it could fire, the humans felt it. Every mind across Earth saw the danger at once. They reached together through the bond, not just with each other but with the very energy around them. Lights flickered. The air itself seemed to hum. For the first time, humanity touched something beyond flesh and bone. They bent the energy, turning it back on itself. Inside the alien flagship, alarms screamed. The Doomsday Weapon collapsed in a burst of light. The explosion tore through Varek's ship, ripping it apart. For one brief second, his face was frozen in shock. The Predator had become prey. Then his flagship was gone, consumed by fire. The rest of the fleet broke. Some ships tried to flee, but human-controlled vessels chased them down. Others fought to the last, but the united mind of humanity crushed them one by one. The night sky burned with falling wrecks, alien fire turning into human victory. When the battle was finally over, silence returned to Earth. The fires still burned, the cities still lay in ruins, but humanity stood alive. They had faced the greatest army the galaxy could bring, and they had not only survived. They had become something new. Daniel lowered his weapon and looked at Aisha. He did not need to speak. She already knew what he was thinking. Around them, survivors looked at each other, their eyes glowing with the same bond. Humanity had changed forever. They were no longer just a species bound to Earth. They were something greater, fast, united, unstoppable. And somewhere in the stars, other empires were watching. They had seen the fall of Varek's fleet. They had seen the rise of humanity. Fear spread among them, because they now understood a terrible truth. They couldn't kill us, because we evolved too fast. The war was over. But the story of the new humanity was only beginning.